When Prince Harry landed back on British soil, maybe, just maybe, he thought this would be the beginning of healing. A low-profile trip, some quiet meetings, a handshake or two behind closed palace doors. That was the picture he had in mind. But oh, he could not have been more wrong. The reception he walked into, it wasn't just cold, it was ice. And the sting didn't come from tabloids or palace aides. No, this time the blow came straight from the very institution he once served with pride. The military. Picture it. Soldiers, crisp uniforms, posture like stone pillars, eyes locked straight ahead. And then, nothing. No salute, no nod, not even the tiniest flicker of acknowledgement as Harry walked past. For a man who wore that uniform, who bled for service in Afghanistan, who once basked in the respect of his brothers in arms, this silence cut deeper than any insult. And the cameras were rolling. That chilling moment. Harry walking past a line of soldiers who treated him like air was caught on video. It didn't take hours, not even minutes, before it hit social media. And then, boom, viral. The internet lit up like wildfire. What was supposed to be a personal royal visit turned into a brutal spectacle for the world to feast on. This wasn't family drama anymore. This was a public message, crystal clear, stamped in silence. Because in the world of royalty and the military, a salute isn't just a little hand gesture, it's honor, it's recognition, it's saying, you belong here, you are one of us, and in that moment, Harry wasn't. This was the same Harry who once stood tall in his Blues and Royals uniform, who went on 2 tours in Afghanistan, who had been cheered during parades, decorated for service, celebrated as a true soldier prince. And yet, here he was, passing a row of stiff, unblinking soldiers who made him invisible. For millions watching, the punch was visceral. You didn't even need sound. The silence was the dagger. And the brutality? It wasn't messy. It wasn't loud. It was precise, clean, calculated. And oh, make no mistake, people close to the palace whispered that this was no accident. This wasn't a couple of guards going rogue and deciding to snub a prince. This was protocol. Protocol written, enforced, and executed with military precision. No salute, no fanfare, no acknowledgement. And that silence? Louder than any words could ever be. The palace doesn't throw tantrums in public. They don't air grievances on Instagram Live. They let these perfectly staged moments tell the story. And the story here was devastatingly clear. Actions have consequences. Harry hadn't just stepped back from his royal duties. He had walked straight into another world altogether. Netflix deals, tell-all interviews, explosive documentaries. Every step he took pulled him farther from tradition and deeper into celebrity culture. Some admired it. Brave Harry speaking his truth. Others saw it as betrayal. A prince cashing in on his crown. But regardless of which side you're on, the fallout is undeniable. This visit, at least for Harry, was supposed to be about peace, about reconnecting, about sitting down with King Charles, maybe opening a door that had been slammed shut for years. But tell me, how do you fix anything when the guards themselves refuse to even acknowledge you exist? And then, of course, there's Meghan. Even when she isn't there, her presence lingers like a ghost in every headline, every whisper, every icy pause. Many blame her influence for Harry's departure. Some say she was the push that sent him down this path. Others champion her as the reason he found his voice, his courage. But whether you adore her or despise her, you cannot deny her shadow follows Harry everywhere. And during this visit, her absence spoke just as loudly as her presence ever could. The soldier's blackout wasn't just humiliating, it was symbolic. Because respect in this world, it's not permanent. Even if you're born with titles, it's not guaranteed. Respect has to be earned, it has to be kept. And when you walk away from the throne, you better believe the throne doesn't follow you. The entire atmosphere around Harry's return was stripped bare of ceremony. No motorcade, no fanfare, no press releases from the palace trumpeting his arrival, no flag raised, nothing. Staff were reportedly even given strict instructions. Keep everything professional, cold, transactional. No warmth, no kindness, no gestures that could be mistaken for welcome. Harry wasn't back as a prince, he was back as just another visitor with a famous name. And for a man who grew up believing pomp and privilege were stitched into his very identity, the shift must have been brutal. People who caught sight of him said it all showed in his body language. Sure, he smiled at the cameras, waved politely, but his hands were clasped tight, his shoulders stiff, his eyes darting, stripped of that confident military swagger he once carried. This wasn't the Harry of balcony waves or grand royal tours. This was a man moving through familiar halls that no longer felt like home. And social media? Oh, it had a field day. The moment that clip of soldiers standing frozen as Harry walked past hit TikTok and YouTube, the analysis began. Dramatic music overlays, slow-motion breakdowns, conspiracy threads dissecting every still frame. Some fans leapt to defend him, saying the military went too far. But the louder majority? They saw it as poetic justice. The message was blunt. You turned your back on tradition, and now tradition has turned its back on you. true. Insiders whispered that Harry, deep down, had hoped for something different. Just one nod from a soldier who had once served under him, maybe a glance, a flicker of recognition, a silent, "I remember you." Anything to show he still had a place in that world. But no, nothing. The military, just like the monarchy, runs on protocol, not nostalgia. And by stepping away, Harry had stepped outside the chain of command. The orders were clear. He was invisible. That's the cruel irony here. This blackout wasn't personal. It wasn't some guard deciding he didn't like Harry. It was about sending a message. Because in this world, the institution speaks through silence, through cold, calculated symbols. And this silence, it screamed, "You're out. You don't belong anymore." Until Harry fully comes back, if he ever does, the uniform won't see him. Behind closed doors, the mood wasn't any warmer. Yes, Harry reportedly met King Charles. But the details? Brutal. A short meeting, barely an hour, no cameras, no photos, just tea. And when it ended, silence. No palace statement, no gentle warm briefing to the press. Whatever was said, it didn't soften the coldness that hung over the trip. If anything, it highlighted it. One insider called it transactional. Not emotional, not heartfelt, not even close to father and son patching things up. More like two men fulfilling an obligation, checking a box. The royal family has always been experts at handling emotions in private, but this wasn't just private. It was distant, controlled, stiff. Harry wasn't treated like an enemy, but he sure wasn't treated like a son returning home either. He was handled. And in many ways, that cuts even deeper. And outside those palace walls, the commentary machine roared to life. Every single detail was dissected. His outfit, his car route, the length of his stay. Every photo or lack of one was turned into a headline. That's the curse of living under a microscope. You don't get curiosity anymore. You get accountability. And the biggest question floating around was this: is Harry trying for a comeback, or was this visit the confirmation of his permanent exile? The most brutal part is that no one had to raise their voice. The guards didn't need to sneer. The palace didn't need to leak a statement. The silence itself did the job. That's the unique cruelty of royal protocol. It cuts you out without ever confronting you. You're not punished, you're erased. And for Harry, a man who once carried respect like a second skin, this was devastating. And Meghan, her absence was noticed everywhere. Some had expected her to walk beside Harry, maybe face the storm with him, but she stayed behind in California. Whether that was strategy or circumstance, everyone had an opinion. Some claimed she wanted to avoid making things worse. Others insisted it was proof of a permanent rupture between her and the monarchy. But either way, her not being there gave critics room to pile the blame squarely on her. She didn't need to be physically present. Her name echoed in every headline, every Twitter thread, every bitter tabloid cover. Meghan Markle was the ghost at the feast. When Harry prepared to leave, the tone was unchanged. No salute, no wave, no send-off, just a quiet exit under the same shadow he arrived with. And by then, it was obvious to everyone watching. The visit hadn't fixed much. Maybe it opened a line of communication, maybe not. But one thing was carved in stone: loyalty is the currency in this family. And if you spend it on your personal truth, don't expect to get any of it back. The public debate rages on. Some still see Harry as the rebel prince who dared to call out a suffocating system. Others see him as a privileged man who turned his back on the very institution that raised him. The answer depends on who you ask. But what no one can deny is the brutal clarity of that soldier's refusal to salute. That moment, that footage, wasn't just about one prince being ignored. It was a reminder of something far bigger. That tradition doesn't bend for Netflix deals. That protocol doesn't bow to celebrity. That centuries of monarchy won't be rewritten by a single man with a microphone. For Harry, this trip wasn't just about family. It was a reckoning with his past, with his choices, with the institution that gave him his identity. And now, he's learning the hardest truth of all. In the royal world, there are no shortcuts back to redemption. No amount of fame can overwrite protocol. No tearful interview can undo centuries of silence. The crown doesn't chase you. If you want back in, you have to crawl back. And even then, it may be too late.